Hi everyone, this is Explainer of Mysteries, and today we're going to be piggybacking off of what Hidden America said in one of his videos about the three main roles in society. This is the roles based off of the mental universe and how they operate and live within the mental universe. So there is the psycho, the normie, and the schizo. Now, based off of this analysis and this sort of referencing point, we're going to say that the psycho, which can also be a sociopath depending on socioeconomic status and the way they operate, such as their operative system, their operating system, and how they actually interact with the world. The psycho is calm and collected, and usually the psycho is simply motivated by grandiosity. The sociopath is motivated by other pleasures. Usually these are pleasures such as sexual gratification. They may have a strong sexual appetite, and they may be motivated by simply causing the system to buckle. They enjoy traumatizing the narcissist. They enjoy traumatizing the psychos as well. Sort of sociopaths and the psychos, well, let's just put them as psychos. They are motivated by pleasure. The sociopath, however, enjoys causing trauma to the narcissist. They simply really don't care for the NPCs, although if the NPCs get hurt, well, they view it as simply just that's part of the game. And it's collateral damage, and so be it. So, now let's talk about the normative framework. The normative framework consists of three elements: plausible deniability, consensus narrative, and number three, that is willful ignorance. So, willful ignorance is simply just that. When you're operating within the framework, you have to sort of go based off of plausible deniability. You cannot simply call things out. The schizo oftentimes refuses to do that, and they just simply want to call out the truth because the schizo is motivated by truth. However, this motivation by truth, without subtlety and without operating within the normative framework, gets the schizo into trouble. This can oftentimes result in being rejected by society and or being controlled. Narcissists feel the need to control. Narcissists are motivated by fear. The narc is driven by fear. Fear of prophecy, particularly self-fulfilling prophecy. Just as Kronos ate his own children out of fear that he would soon be overthrown, so does the narcissist seek more and more control as they feel that their control is being lost. Now, the NPC is simply someone that just operates within the normative safe space and that is within the normative framework, and they don't really try to question anything. It's not because they simply are too stupid or too ignorant. They just simply don't really care to waste their time or energy doing so. And a lot of the normies, the NPCs, they have families, they have jobs, they have a stable life, and they're just not really willing to risk it all. Now, the schizo or the hermit, depending on what point of view you see it as, this is essentially, they're one and the same. The narcissist oftentimes, just like the NPC, they dislike the schizo. Now, the NPC may sort of see the schizo or the hermit, and they may think, wow, what they have to say is interesting, or that's an interesting take. Usually kind of just, passing by. But they may not take the hermit or the schizo too seriously. Now, the narcissist may get very personal. They can get extremely defensive, extremely worked up. They may call the schizo or the hermit a delusional, crazy, tinfoil conspiracy theorist. so on and so forth. Now, the psycho or the sociopath knows this, and they view it as just part of the joke. Now, the sociopath is sort of this loose cannon. They enjoy traumatizing the narcissist. They enjoy traumatizing the psychos as well. They are motivated by pleasure and solely pleasure. Usually, this is some kind of simple pleasures, such as sex, food, drugs, things of that such. And they're willing to break not only social norms, but also completely operate outside of the normative framework in order to get their way. However, if they do this too much, this can lead to extreme failure. And they may end up being thrown into the same category as the schizos. However, the sociopath is not a schizo because the sociopath is motivated solely by pleasure. However, they don't always have control over their impulses. The psycho, however, does. The psycho is cold and calculated. The psycho has a higher position in society. However, the psycho is not driven as much by lust. They're able to control that, and they typically just don't really even have the desire to do so in the first place. Psychos are usually somewhat feminine. They don't have the high testosterone. They are not in the pursuit of violence. They typically don't use violent means to get what they want, whereas the sociopaths, they're willing to use violence to get what they want. In fact, many of them enjoy causing violence. Many of them enjoy causing chaos, mainly to the narcissists and mainly to the psychos. And if normies get hurt, if NPCs get hurt, well, then they get hurt. Now, the reason I put narcissists in the normie category is because they do not manipulate the narrative. They simply operate within the framework, within the narrative. However, the difference is that narcissists try to manipulate how reality is perceived, and they try to manipulate how reality is perceived and how reality is spoken of, the word of the law, and the law of the word, how reality is spoken of within the normative framework, while the psycho and the schizo/hermit, they will completely try to manipulate the narrative completely. They will manipulate the narrative. They will simply say something such as, well, this isn't bad at all, or this isn't evil. They may say something along the lines of, well, murder isn't evil, rape isn't bad. They may manipulate how events are perceived. They both have rationale and reason. However, the psycho will usually use demagoguery. They will appeal to the masses. The schizo does not. The schizo/hermit appeals to the truth. And that is why I decided to put the NPCs and the narcs in the same category as normies, whereas psychos/socios and schizos/hermits are in a separate category. Now, the sociopath does not care at all. Sociopath just finds amusement in all of this. And so, well, there you go. I've laid it out for you guys. Take care, and we'll see each other soon. I hope I've done a good job in explaining all this to you.